a legacy forged. What we learned at Londinian suggests the terramorph attack on New Atlantis might have been intentional. Our only lead, though, is Vevictus. I need to talk to him and find out what he might know. I had a point that I didn't use yet, and it's too late now. We're on our way to Jimison City. New Atlantis. No. On our way to Jimison City. I love how it's not even that hot today. And my laptop is already overheating. Because also it's been off for about 2 hours. But just doing this quest, it's like, no. Not doing this quest. We haven't even started this quest yet. Just starting another session. And it's like, no. No. I thought we were meeting at outside of Mast. But we're going straight to subsection 7? I know she said she wasn't coming with me, but she said she would meet me at Mast. All the audio just stopped. Which is a little unnerving. He's still here. So there is that. Vey?
Well, what a pleasant surprise. When I heard you and Hadrian were headed for Londinian of all places, I presumed you must be onto something big. Did you find what you were looking for?
I don't know. Is there anything you want to tell me about your time not in. No, because Londinian's a city. Your time in Londinian?
I haven't been to Londinian in many years. Why? Is there some way I could be of assistance? Were you able to recover what you were looking for?
No, we did. A whole lot more. So don't play dumb. We know you were behind the attacks on... No, we don't know if it was him. So we did a whole lot more than that.
Good news, then. So, what exactly are you doing here? Plenty still to be done in defeating the Terramorphs, no?
Look, man, we found a recording of you discussing the use of terramorphs as weapons.
Did you? Well, I don't know what you think you heard on this recording, but I sincerely hope you didn't come to the wrong conclusions. After all, given the Cabinet's current state of anxiety, they might misinterpret such a discovery to mean I could have been involved with the attacks. Perhaps I can convince you to keep this among us.
No. So, you really don't know anything about the attacks. Is that what you're claiming?
Of course. Do I look like I'm in any position to do what you're describing? So I'd very much appreciate your agreement to not share what you found. We wouldn't want anyone else jumping to conclusions now, would we?
If it's not you, that leaves 2 other options. So, no more lies. Confess, or I turn over what I found.
You know, you're far more clever than I expected. You want to hear the words, then? I did it. The Terramorph attacks on Tau Ceti. New Atlantis. My doing. associate and I, figuring out how to deploy the Lazarus plant's pollen outside of Londinian, learning to synthesize it, use it as a weapon. Now, being as clever as you are, I'm sure you have thoughts on why I might do such a thing.
Because you're an idiot and you think that they're going to be able to release you for it? Associate, who have you been working with? That should be kind of obvious.
All in due time. First, I want to see if you're truly as astute as you appear. So why would someone like me go through all this trouble?
There's no better way to show the UC what a deadly weapon they have in the Lazarus plant than to use it.
Not a bad thought. But no. The attacks were a correction. When I discovered the plant, I did consider handing over what I'd found, but we were at war. And I couldn't risk information that dangerous falling into the wrong hands. So I ordered the bombing of the Londinian spaceport, fixing two problems at once. Halting the spread of the city's terramorph outbreak, and sealing away knowledge of the plant's potential.
Again, we already know those two details. He's not giving me anything I don't already know. You didn't even trust your own people in the UC?
These were the final days of the colony war, Captain. The Freestar Collective had spies everywhere. I was concerned that if word got out, the Collective could swoop down, start breeding Lazarus plants, and overrun our worlds with waves of terramorphs. Just like what was happening on Londinian at that very moment. Sealing off the city to prevent mass death? It was the only option that made sense at the time.
Yeah, we were down there. We probably fought like 4, maybe 5, so it wasn't really that big a deal. No secret is so dangerous that you can justify condemning so many lives.
Easy to say now, but in that moment, I wasn't about to add another dangerous variable to an already catastrophic war. But then, as the war ended, my trial, my execution, I made a decision. After all, I'd given everything for the colonies. My life as I knew it included. And what did I get in return? Was there any effort by the UC to protect my legacy? My daughter's legacy? No. We were sacrificed when all we did was serve. So I kept what I'd learned and arranged the attacks to set things right again. My daughter, she becomes a hero. I become a trusted advisor, having found Kaiser, the research team, and cement my new position of influence when I hand them the name of the person responsible for the attack on New Atlantis. The dear departed Dr. Reginald Orlays, the associate who aided me all these years, and whom I always slated to take the fall. What luck he was stopped dead before he could hurt anyone else. His decades on the run brought to an end by another unlikely hero. You.
Okay, so I already knew you were the one messaging him. That was just a little too obvious. Orlays, why does that name sound familiar? Why is this an option, but I have to say it because it's a thing?
Can't remember the many lives you've taken. Orlays was the man whose death you brought about around the moon of Etheria, the pilot of the Warlock, the man I had to eliminate to hide my secret.
Yes, we already know that. Okay. How could you have considered all of this from in here?
It wasn't easy. But the beauty of being loathed is that people will do whatever they can not to deal with you. They wanted to pretend I didn't exist. And so I used their blind eye to my advantage. Still, establishing a back channel to Orlays via the UC recovery teams was painstaking work. I've led campaigns less nerve-wracking. They believed they were luring in wanted criminals, but were in fact delivering precisely encoded slates, filled with instructions invisible to any but their recipient, dropped off at just the right moments to fall into the proper hands. All without the UC realizing whom you're actually dealing with. Slow work. But as you can see, ultimately effective.
Can I just drop a Terramorph inside his cell with him? And why the hell do you care if the UC wants you as an advisor?
Why would I want to be in the good graces of the people who control my very life? I don't know, Captain. Maybe I still dream of a life outside these walls someday. A new face would be needed, of course, but it wasn't an impossibility. Though now, I'm not so sure.
So you murdered a bunch of US or UC citizens because of some slight against your honor? You're sick.
There are no heroes without a villain. I simply arranged the opportunity for us to overcome one and become the other. And we all benefited. It's why I had Orlays reprogram Kaiser. Had that old machine guide you to where I found the plant all those years ago. I went to great lengths to ensure your and Hadrian's success. And look at the results. I know for a fact the Cabinet's planning to honor both you and Hadrian once this is all done. Isn't that preferable to languishing away in obscurity? Running jobs on the tail end of nowhere for the Vanguard? With only the vague hopes of perhaps earning the right to buy a home in the well someday.
I mean, I'm already leader of, not leader, but I already belong to multiple factions. I've already done a lot more things. Being a member of the UC Navy, I'm already a member of the UC Navy. So, you're giving me nothing. What kind of honors are we talking here?
Something befitting the dedication to the colonies you two have shown. While, of course, they can't give you a command, responsibility like that has to be earned. The Cabinet does have access to considerable resources. I expect you'll be quite pleased with the result. And none of it would have happened without my intervention.
If you're waiting for me to say thank you, we're gonna be here a while.
I'm simply looking for you to acknowledge the truth. And let's not forget the importance of our actual endgame. Eliminating the Terramorphs. Securing knowledge of the Lazarus plant. What we've set in motion is going to protect thousands, maybe millions of lives. I'm simply requesting one more life be protected. Mine. I've already sent along the evidence of Orlays' role in the attacks to the Cabinet, leaving out my own involvement. All I ask is that you confirm as much to the Cabinet. Tell them that it was Orlays and Orlays alone. After all, I do still have a long list of threats to the UC. This needn't be the end of our good works together.
No, you've given me no reason to not have you executed. You think I'm just going to forget the fact that you killed people to accomplish your good works?
And how many have you killed to get where you are now? There are no great works that don't cost lives, Captain. Whether it's winning a war, or digging a tram tunnel. So we sacrificed a few dozen in the attacks to possibly protect millions. That seems like a fair exchange to me. I only hope you'll see the same, and leave my name out of the discussions to come.
No, I actually made things a lot harder on myself doing my Crimson Fleet and my Ryujin quest lines by not killing people. I have a chip in my head that lets me mind control people, sorry, spoilers, and I don't use it. So no, I haven't killed anyone that has not tried to kill me first. So what kind of work are we talking about here, though? So if he dies, I lose out on quests, is my guess.
Hunting down criminals and other threats to the United Colonies. I expect they'll give me a bit more free range once this is all over. you would help me, like you did with Orlays, track them down, and keep them from doing harm to the United Colonies. Impossible, though, if the Cabinet learns I'm the one responsible for the attacks.
Well, you know what? I have no reason to keep you alive. You've given me nothing other than possible quests in the future. So I hope you enjoyed this talk, because once I tell the Cabinet, it'll probably be your last.
That is a pity, Captain. But I'm in no position to negotiate. Though we needn't be enemies, you and I. Just think about the opportunity I've provided here. There are more on the horizon. If you do the right thing.
Again, you haven't given me anything. You're not offering me money. You're not offering me, unique equipment. You're just saying I get to do more quests if you live. And, buddy, I've got a lot more quests I still got to get to.
I am a better ally than enemy, Captain.
Well, that's cool. So, how on earth did you manage to deploy the Lazarus plant on New Atlantis?
Once we'd cracked synthesizing the Lazarus plant's pollen, research that took years in and of itself, the attacks were exceedingly simple. Orlays' ship would land on our target, bearing a few heat leeches. Nothing that would raise suspicion. Then Lazarus pollen was pumped out of the ship during liftoff from the planet's surface. Shortly thereafter, an attack. A strike perpetrated in mere moments, with no one being the wiser. Which is why the work you and Hadrian are doing now, the work I've put into motion, is so critical.
Okay, well, could someone else synthesize the Lazarus pollen? Could they recreate what you and Orlays have done?
Why, that's the very problem. Harvesting the pollen directly is impossible. Too fragile to leave Londinian's atmosphere. But, with sufficient time and resources, a large entity like the UC or Freestar Collective could learn to synthesize the pollen, turning the Lazarus plant into a bioweapon unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. Thus why the Terramorphs need to be dealt with. It wasn't solely for the benefit of the Sanan name that I organized the attacks. Our work will protect many lives.
Okay, but if Orlays is dead, you know how to do this, and I know how to do this, and I have no intention of telling anyone how to do this. It seems again like killing you solves our problem. So I wanted to ask, during the outbreak, why not try to evacuate Londinian? Why blow up the spaceport?
We were in the middle of an all-out war, Captain. Committing ships to save the city would have left another undefended. Which city would you prefer I'd sacrificed? Sidonia? Gagarin? New Atlantis? And if anyone else had learned about the Lazarus plant, well, the risk was too great. I weighed the options and made the call. Biding your time, then?
Why did your voice just change right there? Well, if anyone's going to know this, it's you. Why did the UC lose the colony war?
I'll tell you why. Because the UC was, and is, full of people unwilling to pay the price required for victory. In the last days of the war, the UC was on the precipice of executing a final great assault on the Freestar Collective home system of Cheyenne. A massive strike, capable of obliterating Freestar Central Command and ending the conflict at long last.
Wait. Why wait so long? Why not just knock out their leadership early and be done with it?
A thought I'd had myself. But such invasions are costly, in resources and lives. Others in the UC believed the blockade would be sufficient to bring the Freestar Collective to its knees. But they were wrong. So instead, they sacrificed far more lives in a protracted war, rather than doing the right thing from the start, and demolishing the Freestar capital when they have the chance.
I don't think... Again, the Freestar is the people who wanted freedom. to live where they want to live. I'm guessing things didn't go according to plan.
You'd be right. Everything was in place. But just before we could launch the strike, word came from Londinian. The Terramorph outbreak had begun. I went to the city to assess the state of things, and discovered the Lazarus plant. We couldn't spare ships for a proper quarantine, so it was my decision to destroy the spaceport and seal off the city. Deal with it quickly, so we could get back to winning the war.
Well, how'd that work out for you? If you were able to get in, why couldn't you get the citizens out?
I had a single ship. What would you have had me do? Ask them and the Terramorphs to form a line, and the UC fleet was spread thin already. No, I touched down, assessed the situation, made a decision, and returned to the task at hand.
No, you had a lot more time while you were down there to do things. Wouldn't want all those innocent lives distracting you from your galactic war.
You joke, but the scale we were working, that's precisely what it was. A distraction. And I dealt with it as such. Quickly. Definitively. The only reasonable solution. So upon my return from Londinian, we proceeded with our killing blow. Initially, we had great success against the mess the Freestar Collective called a Navy. But then the Freestar citizenry decided to get involved. Dozens of civilian ships jumping in to shield their military counterparts. I, of course, had no trouble firing on what should have been designated enemy vessels. But my peers had lost the stomach for it. So many lives lost already, they wailed. So the great UC Navy was routed by a mob. They picked our ships apart. The UC surrendered not long after. And thus rang the death knell for the great UC.
And that's the part we knew. The militia showed up. He was ordered to stand down. Some people stood down, some people didn't. You find out the rest of the other side of the story doing the Freestar Rangers quest line. So, bested by civilians. Ironic, considering the civilians you sacrificed on Lindinian.
It's human nature to see patterns, even when there are none. What ended the colony war was cowardice. Nothing less.
I believe that is the exact line that the other guy gave me. Before I blew his head off. I actually don't think I blew his head off. I don't remember what happened to him. But, have fun. I wonder if they just gas your chamber. That seems like the best way to do it. Don't let him leave. They're gonna let him leave. Most likely. They're gonna let him out. He's gonna get out. He's gonna be like, "We'll meet again sometime, detective." That's not what he'll say, because I'm not a detective. Wait. Oh, I didn't realize there was a door there. That confused me. Got anything to say?
Sometimes success is found in unlikely allies.
Mm-hmm. I feel like she was in on it. So my other suspects were her, this guy who just vanished. We saw him once, and then he's just gone.
Okay. Hello.
And then the woman that runs the Freestar embassy here on the planet is my other suspect.
Going to be a hell of a meeting up there. Of that, I have no doubt.
Perfect timing. We just got in. So on our end, good news. The microbe and the Aciles are both as effective against heat leeches as they are against terramorphs.
Means either plan should work for clearing those critters off our worlds.
Considering what the Lazarus plant is capable of, I don't think we can deal with those things fast enough. I already sent along info to the cabinet to get them up to speed. So what about your end? Did you find anything? Did my father tell you what he knew about the Lazarus plant?
Vivictus confessed. He organized the attacks from his cell.
I knew it. The second I heard that recording, I knew. Why? Did he say why he did it?
Oh, you're not gonna like that part. He said he was trying to fix the damage done to the Sinan name. Make you and him into heroes.
It takes some deeply twisted logic to think anything did more harm to the Sinan name than him. Well, once we inform the cabinet, they can ensure he won't be able to do anything like this ever again.
What do you think the cabinet will do to him? Hopefully execute him like they should have done. See, if they would have just killed him and kept the deal 20 years ago, none of these other people would have died.
My hope would be that whatever connections he's got to the outside world disappear. Make sure his future schemes and machinations stay in his cell with him. But honestly, I'm not sure. He's in a unique position and has done a special kind of harm to the colonies.
All right. He deserves punishment.
Exactly. Bring justice to everyone he's hurt. So I guess that gives us our final answer. Nothing left to do but head in and see what the cabinet thinks of it all. Unless there was more to discuss. This might be our last opportunity to talk things through before the cabinet weighs in on a decision regarding the Terramorphs.
Where's the robot? That's my big thing, because the robot can still be controlled, right? Which method of dealing with the Terramorphs are you two leaning towards?
Microbe is going to make the cleanup a whole lot quicker. If we're concerned about this Lazarus plant getting deployed again, that's the way to go.
The cabinet can secure the Lazarus plant, and then we're not risking any surprises when it comes to dealing with a microbe.
You're being paranoid. You know the science. You know we can make this safe.
I do know the science. I also know math, and a 1 in a million chance of a mutation isn't 0. So I guess we're still in discussion. Probably best at this point to let the cabinet weigh in, see if they have a preference.
I would rather the UC not have the Lazarus plant. So if we can kill them without letting the UC take control, that's preferred. Because this is another situation where the UC is fumbling things, and I don't like that. So, both approaches to clearing out worlds are effective against heat leeches.
They are.
Microbe needed minimal adjustment to account for heat leech anatomy.
And the Asylees seem like they're even better at tracking leeches than morphs.
Hell of a sight to watch, though, when they catch them. Like an open airlock guzzling angry spaghetti.
Yeah, so I would also rather bring back a creature we extinct by eating it, too. So I'm leaning more towards Asylees. What kind of risks are there if we decide to bring back the Asylees?
Asylees aren't hostile to humans, but they are megafauna. If someone decides to pick a fight with one, it could get ugly. But they've already been spread far and wide once before when the UC was raising them as livestock, so the risk of introducing them to new worlds is minimal. Using them to clean up the Terramorphs and leeches, though, it's not going to be nearly as expedient as the microbe would be. Given what we know now about the Lazarus plant, the speed of the job does matter. But going with the Asylees, we're at least dealing with known risks.
And the UC isn't getting control of the Lazarus plant. I don't want them having control of it. I'm sorry. What do you think the cabinet will do when they learn about Vivictus's involvement in the attacks?
It's hard to know. Unlike my father, the cabinet aren't butchers. But killing UC citizens, along with everything else he's done, is unforgivable. But if you're really that concerned, you could request they be lenient. They might be willing to spare him.
Nothing else on my end. Let's head in there.
Then here we go.
Address the cabinet. No, I'm still pro kill him. He should have died a long time ago. he doesn't have any care for human life. He doesn't deserve to keep doing what he's doing. The guy's back, though. There he is. Haven't seen him since. Hey, guys, how you doing?
Stage fright? Wouldn't blame you.
Okay.
Presenters should be on the platform.
Look, you have to go to the restroom.
Let's get started, shall we?
What are you doing here? You know how this is done.
Yeah, we've done it before.
I'd really appreciate it if we could get started.
You got it, Madam President.
Guess it's time.
Something else you wanted to discuss?
Yeah, right here in front of everybody? No.
Welcome back, all of you. I wish we were meeting under better circumstances. But according to Hadrian's report, and the second one I just received, it seems the Terramorph attack on New Atlantis was no random occurrence, but a planned strike. Is what I'm reading here true?
Is that the second report from who I think it's from?
This report comes from a particularly confidential source both you and I are familiar with, yes. Among the reasons its findings are so alarming. Now, is it true? Was the attack on New Atlantis planned?
That's correct, ma'am. It was a deliberate attack.
My God.
An attack? Using terramorphs? How is that possible?
You will all receive a full briefing once we're done here. So then, is what the second report claims correct? Did Reginald Orlays commit these attacks, Captain?
Orlays?
Well, things are about to get crazy if the other people on this council don't know the truth. Hopefully they all know what's going on here. That report isn't the whole truth. Orlays helped, but Vivictus organized the attacks.
It's true, ma'am. I heard the recording myself. My father figured out how to use terramorphs as weapons.
He did what?
That's impossible. He doesn't have the kind of access to...
Clearly, he made his own access, Chief Sarkin. Madam President, I have been saying for years that not dealing with that man was gonna end in tragedy.
Enough! I hope everyone here understands that what has just been shared is a state secret of the highest order. This information does not leave this room. Now, that's quite the accusation you're leveling, considering Francois Sanon has not left containment for the better part of 2 decades. You have evidence to back this up?
Did I have an emergency recorder? What? Why would I make up something like that?
I can think of numerous reasons why someone, after learning Vivictus is still alive, might want to correct that. So I'm not going to accept such a stunning claim without proof.
Why do you guys want to keep this dude alive so much? Well, I'm gonna play an emergency recorder snippet. Didn't even know I had a recorder.
It just transformed. A terramorph out of thin air. An invisible weapon. No planet would be safe.
Heavens help us. Is that actually him?
I'd know that voice anywhere. That's Francois.
He knew they could do this, and said nothing.
He's a sociopath. Plain and simple, ma'am.
Officer, please collect that recording.
Yes, ma'am. Begging your pardon, Captain.
We'll, of course, be launching a full investigation into how this could have happened. Though I have little doubt the Admiral will be quick to share all he knows on the subject once confronted with that recording. Chief Yassine, can you send one of your interrogators to have a little chat with the Admiral?
I'll issue the order immediately.
Good. Combined with everything else you all have uncovered. Well, I don't think the United Colonies can thank you enough. We failed the people of the colonies by not dealing with Vivictus sooner. I intend to rectify that mistake immediately.
That's odd that she asked him, because he's not the chief of the security. He is an ambassador. I think that was a mistake. There was something else I was going to say, and I've already forgotten what it was. What's going to happen to him?
That will be up to the cabinet to decide. But I don't appreciate our mercy being taken advantage of.
I think you guys should have executed him. Can you ensure he has no more outside contacts? He used UC functionaries to get his messages out.
That's truly disconcerting to hear. But cutting off Vae Victus's contact with the outside world is likely to be just the beginning of his punishment.
So they're not going to execute. I don't even get an option to say execute him, like he should have been executed. I just get to say, don't let him have anyone to talk to. No. I'm not going to argue for him to be spared. The attacks wouldn't have happened had he not done something. Because no one would have discovered the knowledge. No one would have gone through Londinian and discovered the knowledge without what he did. So that there's no way. Good. The world will be better without Vae Victus in it.
I'm inclined to agree, Captain. Now, with our villain unmasked, we can attend to the other matters at hand. With the threads you've brought together here, the Lazarus plant, the attacks, the heat leeches, the three of you have likely spared thousands of lives. But it now falls to the cabinet to ensure this can never happen again. As such, the cabinet will be securing the Lazarus plant on Londinian. All materials related to the plant will be classified to ensure no one else learns its true nature.
A sound decision, Madam President.
Only if they're going to lock it up in the archives. If they're not going to lock it up in the archives, I don't want them having control of the Lazarus plant. What sorts of measures will the UC be taking to protect the Lazarus plant?
Well, luckily the natural hostility of Londinian makes keeping out trespassers relatively easy. But we'll ensure its growth is contained, that access to the plant is only permitted via highly regulated clearances, and that our troop presence on Londinian is increased.
Not what I wanted to hear. So they're still saying they're going to be the only ones with access to it, and no one's going to... Like, no one should have access to it. What does the plant do? If all it does is mutate and create terramorphs, no one needs it. Oh, I could say, I don't want to wipe the plant out. I just don't want only the UC having access. Oh, I can say that, though. Ma'am, I believe the other factions should be involved in securing the Lazarus plant.
Tell the Freestar Collective. Wow. So they have another tool to utilize against us?
I'm in agreement. I fail to see the value here.
Because if they're keeping it would demonstrate to the collective the UC isn't planning to secretly use it to line.
We're waiting on you, Captain.
This is my honest answer. The UC has a terrible track record. But no, it would demonstrate to the collective that the UC isn't planning to secretly use it down the line.
Oh, that is an interesting idea. A grand gesture to further display this cabinet doesn't think like those of the past.
The observers on Mars have proven such a gesture can bear fruit.
So, you want us to make nice with the collective by sharing our state secrets?
No, I want us to display plainly the UC's actual intentions, that the plant will never be used as a weapon again.
That does sound worthwhile, Chief Kulkarni. Very well. We'll get the collective involved in the management. Thank you for the suggestion, Captain. So then, to our final topic. The Cabinet has agreed to implement a plan that will deal with the Terramorph, and now also Heat Leech presence on human worlds. In fact, we've already begun enacting measures to check all UC ports and settlements for undiscovered nests. But we all understand this is only a partial solution. The project we're embarking on will be a long and difficult one. So our first step must be deciding how exactly this all will be handled.
Madam President, this microbe is clearly too much of a risk. The Asylees are the safer approach.
To someone with limited knowledge of biology, perhaps? The technology behind the microbe is solved science, Madam President. It isn't dangerous. Using it to wipe out the Terramorphs would be the quickest path to protecting humanity.
And fast results always lead to the best outcomes, don't they?
As you can see, there remains debate among the cabinet. We were hoping your group might issue a recommendation. Major?
We've been having similar debates ourselves, but the captain has yet to weigh in.
I see. Captain, I know this may not be your area of expertise, but we'd like to know your take on the matter.
So why can't we just do both of them? Release the Asylees to take care of it in the long term, but also drop the microbe, right? Why don't we just do both? Is there a reason we can't do both? Do we need to do anything? Shouldn't securing the Lazarus plant be sufficient?
I believe we have a responsibility to do something, yes. Heavens forbid, years from now, someone reopens the Pandora's box that Vevictus discovered. It falls to us to enact every measure required to ensure that day never comes.
Okay, it still seems like I'm only getting two options. I still had questions about both the methods.
Please, ask.
What are the dangers of bringing back the Asylees?
I can feel this one. While intimidating creatures, certainly, Asylees are docile unless provoked. They're honestly closer to oversized mobile scanners than deadly predators. The concern is that, while all proposed methods will be long-term efforts, the Asylees are the slowest. Slow to breed, slow to deploy. We do everything we could to accelerate that process, including mustering some of our mothballed cloning technologies. But if we do elect to use this method, we'll be doing things at the pace of a megafauna, which is not an expedient one.
But we would be returning a species we created and made. We made extinct, not that we created. What are the chances, really, that this microbe could cause problems to humans and other species?
Infinitesimally low.
But not zero.
The chance of a starship landing on you as you sit here isn't zero, yet you still attended. Personally, my fear isn't mutation, but Terramorphs developing a resistance. But that's something our group can continue to address if we decide to take this approach, as I believe we should.
But you know what they can't develop a resistance to? Getting eaten. They're defenseless in their, whatever they're called, heat leech form, which is the form that they're going to get eaten in. So if you're worried about them developing a resistance, wouldn't you want to go for the more guaranteed option? Will the other factors be involved in the cleanup efforts as well?
This won't work without them.
Exactly right, ma'am. The Interstellar Affairs Office has already begun reaching out to worlds throughout the settled systems, informing them of the risks we're all facing, and that the UC has a plan to prevent what happened on New Atlantis from happening elsewhere. Thus far, the response has been overwhelmingly positive. The spirit of mutual cooperation displayed between the UC and the Freestar Collective in managing the Terramorph data set a good tone for the work we're doing, Captain. We expect we'll hit some resistance, but our office has plenty of carrots and sticks to ensure the program's widespread success.
Okay, so again, killing a heat leech is a lot easier. Just saying. Who exactly is doing all this work? Deploying whichever method we choose here.
The responsibilities will be spread across multiple branches of the UC. Research and day-to-day administration will be handled by a new group under the Science Division. All diplomatic concerns and coordination will fall to Chief Yassine and Interstellar Affairs. But most of the actual on-the-ground work, that'll be handled by the Vanguard.
Which is me. I don't have any other questions.
Very well. Then did you have a preference on the method we should deploy?
I need a moment to collect my thoughts.
I suppose we can take a brief recess. Return when you're ready.
I'm assuming this just means...
I wouldn't keep everyone waiting for long.
Oh.
Ready to get back to it?
I thought I would be able to talk to them. But instead, I'm just going to make a hard save. Hey guys, we're just chilling.
Why don't you get back up there, and we can talk all this through?
Oh, that's cool.
Better to stretch your legs after we're dismissed.
I can think about that.
We're not finished until the President adjourns, Captain.
You got it, buddy.
You all called this meeting. Now, I would like to finish it.
Okay.
Captain, have you had sufficient time to clarify your opinion?
I'm just right in front of her. We're going to deploy the Asylees. It's the safest route. That's my vote.
I'm in full agreement. No need be delving into unpredictable sciences.
And Major Sinan? Dr. Walker, you'd find this acceptable?
We trust the captain's judgment.
Then the matter is settled. We'll begin the process immediately. Today marks day one for the United Colonies Terramorph Management Division, making you three the founding members of the TMD. As befits such a group, the Cabinet wanted to display its gratitude. Today, we will be adding 3 new Class 1 citizens to our ranks.
Class 1? For the 3 of us? Are you joking?
What he means to say is, thank you, ma'am.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
What's a Class 1 citizen?
It's a status reserved only for those who've dedicated their lives to the United Colonies, or done great things for its cause. Class 1s enjoy an ample credit disbursement, an additional reduction on the cost of colonial goods. And I'm told the penthouse is rather impressive.
Well, thank you, Madam President.
You all have earned it. Now, there's much to be done. Major Sinan, Dr. Walker, I hope you two are willing to continue your efforts, spearheading the TMD's research on Mars.
We'd be honored, ma'am.
And as a member of both the Vanguard and the TMD, I believe you, Captain, will have your pick of duties. Speak to your commander, Tuala, if I recall correctly. He should be able to provide you with assignments going forward, plus help you collect the benefits that come with being named Class 1. On behalf of the whole of the United Colonies, you have our sincerest gratitude. This meeting is adjourned.
Getting the Freestar Collective to play ball with the archives. I had my doubts, but you handled it deftly.
They already do participate in the archives, my dude.
The galaxy's going... You've got quite a bit of work ahead of you, Captain. Best get to it.
I'm pleased we'll be working together. You seem like a person who gets results.
Wait. Okay.
Enjoy the penthouse. One of the finest views in New Atlantis.
The whole check-in with your commanding officer. All your future assignments will be going through him.
Okay, that ends the main quest line. But we do have a little check-in that we'll get to.